Assalamualaikum and good day everyone. My name is Nomarana Binti Mahmud with matric number 262361. In this video, I will discuss about the best practices of tourism planning and development in Cuba. First and foremost, let me explain what is tourism planning and development. Tourism planning is a total process of establishing development targets and executing tourist systems. It is a framework for the development of tourism, including legal elements such as zoning. The purpose is to balance, guide, and safeguard a tourism destination or attraction for its long-term development. Therefore, tourism planning is an imperative strategy and flexible framework. As the tourism planning is critical to both tourism and tourist destination, the development for tourism purpose without planning could be a waste of resources. Unplanned tourism development may cause a lot of problems such as environmental problems, which will affect the area of destination. Meanwhile, tourism development refers to a process of building and maintaining a tourism sector in a specific location. It can be defined generally as an act of formulating strategies and plans to increase, develop, and stimulate tourism in a certain destination. Thus, tourism planning and development play a big role in order to make our tourism industry into the next level. Best practices can be defined as a strategy or a technique that has been widely regarded as superior to all alternatives. It has become a standard way of doing things, such as meeting the legal or ethical criteria. In short, best practices refers to a collection of standards, ethics, or ideas that represent the most efficient or wise source of action in a specific business setting. Before we get into the best practices in detail, let me introduce Cuba as a country and also its tourism industry. Cuba, officially named as the Republic of Cuba, is a country comprising the island of Cuba, as well as Isla de la Juventud and several minor archipelagos. Cuba is located where the northern Caribbean Sea, Gulf of Mexico, and Atlantic Ocean meet. Cuba is located at the east of Mexico, south of both the American state of Florida and the Bahamas, west of Hispaniola, and north of both Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Havana is the largest city and also the capital city of Cuba, with other major cities include Santiago de Cuba and Camagüey. And it is said that it is the largest island in the Caribbean. Cuba is the second most populous country in the Caribbean after Haiti, with over 11 million inhabitants. Next, we will talk about the tourism industry in Cuba. Tourism in Cuba is an industry that generates over 4.7 million arrivals as of 2018 and is one of the main sources of revenue for the island. With its favorable climate, beaches, colonial architecture, and distinct cultural history, Cuba has long been an attractive destination for tourists. Cuba, being Spain's closest colony to the US until 1898, continued to flourish in the early 20th century with major investment, new industries, and more travel to support mostly US interests and enterprises. Cuba's market economy grew swiftly because to its proximity to the Florida Keys and close ties to the US. However, the relationship between Cuba and US went down due to the Cuban Revolution. The island was shut off from its traditional market by an ongoing embargo and a travel ban that was imposed on US Americans visiting Cuba. Within 2 years following Castro's election, the tourist industry hit historic low. United States established diplomatic relations with Cuba in 2015 in a period referred to as the Cuban Thaw, and the tourism industry has not benefited as much as was predicted from normalized relations with America as Trump regime reinstated a number of the pre-Cuban Thaw restrictions and imposed fresh restrictions. After the Cuban Revolution of 1959, a new governmental body, the National Institute of the Tourism Industry (INTUR), was established to encourage more tourism, with them taking over hotels, clubs, and beaches, making them available to the general public at low rates. The Cuban government has implemented protection to prevent serious environmental consequences from tourism and other development. The construction of new tourism facilities and infrastructure in Cuba must comply with Cuban environmental laws and policies. Cuban government formed the Ministry of Science, Technology and Environment (CITMA) in 1995, and the National Assembly passed Law 81 in 1997, one of the region's most comprehensive environmental regulation. In order to ensure future development, including tourism development, is sustainable, the government passed a number of decree laws and resolutions. Among them are Coastal Zone Management Decree Law 212 defines setbacks and other seating criteria for new facilities in coastal zones. Another one is CITMA Resolution 77 per 99, where major new building projects might undergo a thorough environmental study and acquire a CITMA environmental license. With this, we can see that the Cuban government is taking serious of their tourism planning and development, especially in protecting the environment while developing their tourism industry. Therefore, one of the best practices that Cuba has done in creating a sustainable rural tourism development project, which is the Las Terrazas complex. This complex was created in 1994 as the first tourism-based sustainable rural development project, giving continuity to the country's integral development plan initiated in 1968. The complex aims to rehabilitate and preserve the area's environmental integrity through the reforestation of terraces while achieving a balance between the local population and the environment. Since the founding of the Las Terrazas community, tourism has been their main source of livelihood through the Las Terrazas complex. It is considered Cuba's first eco-museum, serving as a national and international reference point. It strives not only to incorporate tourism as an economic facilitator, but also to ensure social and environmental sustainability through responsible tourism. This prevents negative socio-environmental impacts while creating links between tourism and the community, thus guaranteeing tourism's compatibility with social development. The area is traversed by several rivers, including the San Juan and Vayate rivers, and boasts natural pools of fresh crystalline water. The complex consists of the colonial-style Hotel Mocha, the Casa del Lago, located on the shore of Lake San Juan, and the Ecological Research Center, responsible for overseeing the well-being of forest ecosystems. The local community's rich cultural life is showcased to the visitors through workshops that specialize in painting, serigraphy, which means screen printing, ceramics, woodwork, and plant fibers. This complex environment is spectacular for hiking, climbing, biking, boating, swimming in crystal clear streams, or bird watching. This area also boasts some of the highest quality coffee in Cuba, which you can discover on a tour through the plantations. The clean air of Las Terrazas smells like pine wood and is humid with moisture from the remarkable plant life. Since its inception, the initiative has been led and directed by the architect Osmani Gulkiaran, with the active participation of the local community and key institutions. Let's move to the next part, which is contribution to the key areas. There are 5 of it. The first one, sustainable economic growth. The income of Las Terrazas complex has steadily increased over the years. In 1994, the revenues totaled approximately USD 38,000, rising to USD 1 million the following year. After 10 years, the revenues reached USD 4 million, and after 20 years, USD 6 million. In 2016, the complex generated USD 30 million in tourism income, retaining 16% in the form of profits. The second pillar, which is social inclusiveness, employment, and poverty reduction. 61% of the complex employees are the members of the local community. The community also benefit both directly and indirectly from the tourism activity through services, education, and culture. The House of Memory for the elderly is also supported through food and supplies. Moving on to the third pillar, which is resource efficiency, environmental protection, and climate change. 16% of the revenues generated are reinvested, with a significant portion earmarked for the maintenance of infrastructure and environmental conservation, including reforestation, landscaping, biodiversity management, investment in the use of renewable energy, organic agriculture, and other initiatives. Next, the Pillar 4, cultural values, diversity, and heritage. The complex includes diverse cultural heritage assets. These include historical sites, for instance, the ruins of a French coffee plantation, Cimarron settlement, and sites from the War of Independence. It also encompasses socio-cultural heritage assets such as traditional music, art, local craft, traditional cuisine, and oral tradition, such as natural assets spanning a plethora of flora, fauna, bodies of water, natural pools, and landscapes, and also the first eco-museum dedicated to preserving ecosystem and community values. And finally, Pillar 5, mutual understanding, peace, and security. The collaboration between all actors and managers involved in the project is vital. Mutual understanding between people, institutions, and the government has been and continues to be essential for the development and success of the project. And now, we will talk about the result achieved by the Las Terrazas complex. This complex has created 256 new jobs and has managed to consolidate the surrounding area as a tourism destination. By achieving sustained income growth, it has raised the local community's standard of living and purchasing power. The number of visitors has risen to 132,000, largely from Germany, the United Kingdom, and France. The initiative has demonstrated that the sustainable management of a rural community's local resources can prosper as an indigenous tourism product, benefiting the local area while providing quality services which are in high demand by the tourism sector. Moreover, the complex is the first sustainable rural development experience in Cuba, showcasing how an independent community with the political support of government institutions can maintain its economy, benefit its population, and contribute to society at large through local development. Lastly, despite initial challenges such as a lack of qualified staff, Las Terrazas complex is a successful example of rural development and planning that contributes to environmental sustainability in Cuba. And it is such a great case study which Malaysia can learn from, especially in conducting the sustainability project in the rural tourism development. Its experience shows that projects require community approval. It enables initiatives to access community needs and aspirations, respect local traditions, and promote these assets with the help of specialists. It is essential that community members see the benefits and results of the tourism management. Thus, the complex hosts public hearings with villagers and organize activities for children and youth, such as interest groups and educational talks. Other than that, residents were involved in all major decisions, which emphasize a sense of collective belonging. Locals are represented by a group of neighbours and a community development directorate to balance tourism and community interests. Sustaining such a sense of belonging and collectivism remains a difficult task as local income increases, their individualism tends to take hold. Economic improvement means a labour shortage in terms of lower paid jobs. Thus, labour must be imported to maintain a balance in the complex. For the conclusion, although Malaysia already doing a great job in the sustainable rural tourism development, we still need to remember that without the agreement and cooperation by the local community, the planning and development of our tourism development may end as a disappointment to them and also to the upcoming visitors. Therefore, this case study is one of the best examples of the best practices in tourism planning and development which our country can learn from. That's all from me. Thank you.